us in, babe.
Welcome to
Coco Caliente. We had our baby appointment.
Our 20-week
anatomy. Was
ultrasound.
It 19 week?
I was 19 weeks during it.
Okay.
But it's, I guess, technically, it was a little more than 19 weeks. So they call it your 20 week.
You're in your 20th week.
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah. So it's the anatomy ultrasound we did, but we didn't want to know the gender.
Right.
And
Victor got to come in with me this time.
I went in. Mm-hmm. Yes, I went in. It was cool because we saw, and I was just looking at him like just now. I like had tears in my eyes because it's so cool. Mm-hmm. So we saw like the profile, so you could see the nose and the lips and the head and like the little eyes, and you can see the little feet with the toes and the hands with the fingers. It's really, really cool, and you can see like their spine. And the ribs, it's crazy.
When we went back there to like look, obviously I'm just like nervous and worried, and I feel like my maternal instincts just like kick in and I get protective. But I was laying there, and then the ultrasound tech was like showing everything, and I had to like look away several times because it was just so much emotion. I think for the first time it felt like it looks like a baby, and it made me feel really guilty for all like the junk I eat. You know, I was just like, oh my God, I need to be better. And I started crying. I was like, this is like so emotional because, you know, you're just like, you're growing a bump on your belly, but you don't really think about it. And you're like, when you get this baby, I feel like a lot of times until I see the baby or hold the baby, it just doesn't register. But man, it really registered during that ultrasound, and I had to look away. I had like tears pouring down, and I was so scared that she was gonna say, you know, because I did miss my prenatals sometimes, like, you know, I'm just worried it's gonna be my fault.
No, and just so you know, she said everything is good. We have, you know, pretty normal pregnancy. Everything's where it should be, how it should be. You know, everything as of right now is A-okay, so thank God for that. And it's exciting, and we're leaving here soon for our wedding, and after the wedding we're gonna have, you know, our little gender reveal, so that'll be exciting. They gave us the gender in an envelope. I specifically
told the nurse, do not give it to Victor, and then she like didn't even think about it because she had sealed it up for like 15 minutes, which I really, really appreciate. And then she just like handed it off, and then she looks at me and she goes, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And then Victor's like waving it around like, and she's like, oh my gosh. And I was like, it's fine. I'll get it eventually. But you could tell she felt so bad, and it was like, oh my gosh.
Well, right when we left the hospital, we just went right to your friend's work, and we dropped it off to her, who's setting up
breakfast.
Who's setting up the gender reveal party. So
when you held it up to the light, you really didn't see, right?
I swear I didn't see anything. You couldn't see anything. Yeah, I don't know. It's really exciting.
We almost didn't get to know the gender because throughout the whole entire ultrasound, the baby was in a position where
basically it's
his or her foot was like in that area, and she couldn't see it. And so I was like, oh my gosh, we're gonna have a gender reveal without even knowing the gender.
It's unknown.
So. But then she's like, okay, no, I got it.
Yeah, so, and very fitting today for this episode because we have a double board certified OBGYN and maternal fetal medicine specialist, women's health expert, Dr. Shannon M. Clark, who specializes, or who has a special interest, rather, in fertility, pregnancy, and motherhood after age 35.
Yeah.
So we have a great conversation with her. We talked to her about stuff that we're thinking about and stuff that she sees or has seen in her practice. So, yeah, definitely a great source of information with her, and we hope you guys enjoy.
Hello.
Hello. Is this Miss, Dr. Shannon Clark?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Hey, good morning. I am Victor, and I have my beautiful fiance and co-host Nicole here.
Hi, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, no problem. Thank you.
So how are you doing this morning?
Well, I'm in Texas, in Houston, if that could give you any indication.
My gosh. Okay, so how are things over there right now? Is it still, like, below? Is everything frozen?
Yeah, no, we are still without water and intermittently without electricity, but I do have electricity right now, so hopefully, and Wi-Fi, so hopefully it won't go out anytime soon.
Is that where you live?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm very sorry. It's really cold over here too. It was -2 last night.
But
and our water froze over the other day, and so that wasn't a fun morning. But I do appreciate you joining us today amidst everything you got going on over there.
No problem.
So I got this is a silly question on my part, but OBGYN, OB-GYN, what does that stand for?
So OBGYN is obstetrics and gynecology. So that means I am double board certified in obstetrics and gynecology, and then also in maternal fetal medicine.
So did you always want to be a doctor?
No, I didn't actually. I went to college to go to law school. And then I had my first government class and hated it. And the guy I was dating at the time was pre-med, and he was a year ahead of me, I guess. Mm-hmm. And at that time, we kind of made our declaration about if we wanted to be pre-med, we had to decide by our sophomore year in college. So he said, well, why don't you try pre-med? And then I got into med school and he didn't. So
what? Oh my God.
Yeah.
What a trajectory. What a change.
Yeah. So it happens like that sometimes. It's okay. But I do appreciate him to this day for obviously for suggesting that, because obviously it worked out.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And so the process, I always think about the process to become a doctor and how long and strenuous that process is. How long did that take for you? Like, what's that track like?
So, I went straight through. I did 4 years. I graduated college or graduated high school a few months before I turned 19. So I was 18 and change. And then 4 years of college, 4 years of med school, 4 years of residency in obstetrics and gynecology, 3 years of fellowship in high-risk obstetrics or maternal fetal medicine. I finished that formal training in 2007. Then you have to go through the process of getting double board certified, which requires a written and an oral exam for OBGYN, a written and an oral exam for maternal fetal medicine. And if I recall correctly, I finished all my board certifications by 2011, I think.
Okay.
So that's when, I was practicing from 2007 to 2011, but, you have a certain amount of time to get your board certifications. Yeah.
Wow. I have a buddy who's going through that right now. He's a little bit younger than me, but he's a doctor, but he's going through his residency and all that stuff. And he explained it like having a lottery ticket that you can't cash out yet, right? Because you have all the training, you're getting there, right, to the end, but you're still not where you want to be because you don't have your own thing yet.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by something Nicole and I use at our house every day, Kitty Poo Club. Are you a proud cat person? You love your cat, but that doesn't mean you love having a litter box in your home. Kitty Poo Club takes care of the more unpleasant parts of cat ownership so you can get back to loving your furry friend.
Kitty Poo Club is an all-in-one litter box solution designed to be convenient for you. Every month, Kitty Poo Club delivers an affordable, high-quality recyclable litter box that's pre-filled with the litter of your choice. Yeah, so like I picked my litter. There's 4 different options. Pick which one's best for you and your cats. The boxes are leak-proof, eco-friendly, and they have a fun design for every season. When the month is up, just recycle the box, and Kitty Poo Club will automatically deliver a new one to you. No changing used litter, which is great for pregnancy, and no more cleaning the box. You can customize your order based on how many cats you have and what type of litter they prefer. And it's a no-risk guarantee, so you can easily customize or cancel anytime.
So give yourself the gift that keeps on giving the whole year, a Kitty Poo Club subscription. Right now, Kitty Poo Club is offering you 20% off your first order when you set up auto ship by going to kittypooclub.com and entering promo code COCO. Just go to kittypooclub.com and enter promo code COCO to get 20% off when you set up auto ship. That's kittypooclub.com. And don't forget to enter promo code COCO at checkout. So Nicole, right now, when this episode comes out, she'll be 19 weeks pregnant. Okay. And so we are first-time parents. And so it's great having you on the show. And you specialize, or one of your passions, I guess, specializations as well, is getting pregnant after 35. So where did that come about? How did that come to be?
Yeah, so it's not specifically because of what I do. I do high-risk obstetrics, so all my patients are already pregnant.
Oh, okay.
And I do deal with high-risk pregnancies based on age, meaning that they're pregnant after age 35. But where my actual passion for it started was when I was trying, I married at 38, had my first miscarriage at 39 and a half, started IVF at 40 and change. And I ended up going through 5 cycles of IVF that only produced 1 genetically normal embryo that transfer did not take. I went on to we chose to do donor egg. I did get 5 embryos from the donor egg, donor person or egg donor. And then the first transfer did not take. The second transfer did take, and that's how I got my twins. So, I think why I started Babies After 35 is because even though I'm an OBGYN and, obviously very educated, there were still a lot of things I didn't know about fertility and, trying to conceive, and then also pregnancy after age 35 and especially after age 40. So I wasn't necessarily prepared for the lengths that I had to go through personally to get pregnant. So I was thinking to myself, well, if I'm getting thrown for a loop here, how does the average person who's not in medicine and doesn't have this background, what do they think about trying to conceive in pregnancy after age 35 and especially after age 40? So that's where at that time I started this in 2014. There wasn't a whole lot of information on social media and in the media in general, because social media, whether we like it or not, is where we get a lot of our information.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be that reliable source of information and also share my story. And I was very transparent along the way about my journey to, educate people and encourage people to educate themselves and learn about their fertility if they were actively trying to conceive or pregnant after age 35 or anticipating delaying childbearing. So that was my primary goal. It since has blossomed to something much bigger, which I'm very grateful for. But I think the main thing was to educate as a physician with my medical expertise and my background, and as with my own personal experiences, because it does mean something when the physician actually has been through it. And I've been through it, so I know. I even had the high-risk pregnancy as well. So I just wanted to be that source of information and educate as much as I could and give people a place to go if they wanted accurate information.
Absolutely.
So since you went through it yourself, how did your practicing change for your patients, would you say?
So I think, before all of this, I am known for and consider myself a very... I'm very empathetic. I take a lot of time with my patients. I'm very good with patients and my high-risk patients and the struggles they go through. But afterwards, I had a different view on pregnancy loss, on being on bed rest, being pregnant with twins. I was pregnant with twins in hospital bed rest for 2 months. I also had a very urgent, complicated delivery, blood transfusion, complications, being a NICU mom. So going through all that stuff myself that my patients had been going through. All the way from having trouble conceiving to, having a complicated pregnancy, being on hospital bed rest, having an acute delivery, an emergent delivery, and having complications postpartum, and then having babies in the NICU. Going through that myself really changed my perspective, and I had a whole new understanding of what my patients were going through. So I think it opened my eyes a lot to what patients actually experience.
Yeah, definitely, because all the research in the world probably can't really prepare you for how it actually feels on the other side. So that probably really gave you and your patients even more common ground. And you can say, hey, look, I've been through this. Like, I've been in your shoes, and that makes them feel so much better. That would make me feel better if I was a patient and just taking, you're very knowledgeable, but also you've been through it and you've had success with it.
Well, I think that traditionally, I'm not too old, but I am of an older generation. I'm 47, and we were kind of trained to keep things separate. Your personal life stays personal, your work stays work. Be professional. Don't share too much. We're the physicians. We have to be delivering information, and making decisions based on what the science says, what the patient needs. So there wasn't a whole lot about, interjecting your own personal experiences. But what I found is that I don't do that with everyone. I don't go and say, well, this is what I went through. And because my experience does not apply to my patients or all of them. But in the right situation, in the right circumstance, so the patient's receptive. And that goes with having a bedside manner. You kind of get a feel for what your patient needs. And you'll get that feeling if you take time to get that feeling, right?
Yeah.
And I know this patient might need to hear, it might help her to hear my personal experience. I don't just go in, giving them my diary of what happened day by day. No, that's not it. But it is something personal. Your personal experiences as a physician are something you can draw on when it comes to patient care. And it is sometimes very helpful, but you just have to kind of gauge when it's appropriate and, share what you want at the right time. So I don't think there's anything wrong with us sharing our own personal experiences with our patients at times.
No, definitely not. I think for me it helps. That's just how I feel, is if even my doctor will tell me, oh, well, this with another patient, something he knows what to say to make me feel very calm and very comfortable. And so I love that, because this is the first time I'm going through it. I didn't get to go test all these doctors to say, oh, who am I going to vibe with? I am a nervous person. So I got really lucky right off the gate. My doctor is amazing, and he just makes me laugh, and he makes me feel comfortable, and that's what I need. And I know that there's other ones in the area that are just very straight to the point and will tell you, straight up. And I knew that that's something that I probably couldn't handle. And so it's very interesting how important bedside manner is. And I was a nurse. I am still a nurse, but I'm not practicing currently. And just working with different doctors, and just the bedside manner is so, so important, especially I would say for expecting mothers, because now I am one, and I understand you're worried. It's so much bigger than yourself. And so,
and I'm glad you said he, because there is this common misconception that male physicians don't understand. And they may not go through some of the things we go through personally, but having treated patients for years, we can draw on those experiences as well. So don't discount that because someone can't physically go through what you go through, that there's no way they can understand, because they probably understand more than you think, especially if they're the ones that, like you said, take the time with you. Even though he hasn't gone through, physically gone through things, but he's been through that with his patients, so he probably does have a very good understanding of what people go through.
Yeah, I got to give you major props. I was looking at your social media and your TikTok and stuff, and you have a unique way of delivering information to where I want to keep looking at it, and it makes me smile at the same time. So that's awesome. So I do have a more serious question though. What type of emotional toll does it take to have to go through that process, because you pretty much went through all the processes you can go through to get pregnant. And, we know people that, are going through something like that. And, we feel bad, but we don't know what to say, right? Because, we would love for them to have a baby, but you see them going through this and it's like it's not working, right? So what was your mindset going through that?
You mean in regards to my friends and family or my job?
I guess for yourself, and then how people were relating to you or trying to connect with you during that time.
Yeah, I mean, look, it can be a no-win situation. It's hard if you're someone who's not going through it and someone close to you is. You don't know the right things to say, and I always give an example of one of my friends who said to me, "I have no clue what you're going through. I don't necessarily know the right thing to say to you. But just tell me what you need. I'm here. I'll do whatever I can to help you." Now, she was someone who was not pregnant and did not have kids. But then I had a friend who actually was pregnant during the time. And she said, she called to let me know. And she said, "I just want to let you know I'm pregnant. And I wanted you to hear it from me rather than hearing it from somebody else or on social media or Facebook. And I can tell you as little as you want to know. I can tell you as much as you want to know. Just tell me what you want me to do, and I'll do it." And I think that meant a lot, because she did take that extra time to tell me personally. But we have to also give our friends and family members, if they're close to us, a little bit of grace, because they may not always see the right things. And how are they possibly going to know? It's not easy. And if we're in a position where we're in a state where we don't really want to talk about it, we can't expect them to read our minds. So, it's you kind of decide when and if you're wanting to keep those few people close to you and let them go on this journey with you, or you may decide you don't want to talk to anybody. But that's a decision you have to make. And, it's tough, but you got to do what's best for you. and go from there. When it comes with being in a profession, and I deliver babies. That was my job every day, delivering babies. Just a second. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Give me just a second. Hey guys, Allie, can you please keep on? I'm doing an interview. I'll be done in just a second. Thank you. So when it comes to being a physician, that was a little bit different, because to me that was more problematic, because I delivered babies. That was my job. That was my passion. But I was going through infertility, and I had to separate it, because I refused from the very beginning to let it take away the joy and the passion that I had for my job. Mm-hmm. Infertility had already taken so much from me. I wasn't going to let it take that. So I actually had to go through a period of time where I just had to completely block it out and separate it, or else it would have been too much. I could not do my day-to-day tasks. And oddly enough, during that time when I was going through this, I was promoted to professor. I was still producing at work. I was still, doing what I need, the research, the education, everything I needed to do to be promoted in the midst of all of this. Mm-hmm. And it was maybe a little bit of an outlet for me, but that's not to say that at some point I had to face it. And actually right now is the time I'm facing it. I am going through therapy with some of the trauma I went through with work and having those experiences. Mm-hmm. And it's going to come out at some point. And for me, it's 4 years later. And, therapy is helping, and I have to face it, because like I said, you can only push it to the sides for so long. So if anybody's going through this journey, my biggest piece of advice would be start therapy. Mm-hmm. Find someone to talk to about it, preferentially someone that's versed in it, with reproductive issues, infertility, pregnancy loss, someone that does that kind of therapy. And there are people who do. So that would be my biggest piece of advice.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's something we talk about a lot on our podcast, is mental health and making sure you're good before you do anything else, right? Because like you said, that can overflow into your life, and you definitely don't want that. You want to live as happy as you can be. So we do appreciate that. I do have a side question. So with it's in vitro and the other things that are available out there, a lot of those things are very expensive. Mm-hmm. From your point of view, is there a way to minimize those costs? Because sometimes it seems, like out of reach for some of the average people out there that maybe can't afford that.
Yeah, I think you have to do your research. There's a lot of fertility centers who have packages. There's some grants out there if you do the research on that. But when you're starting the infertility journey, getting plugged in with a reproductive and endocrinology and infertility specialist or fertility specialist right off the bat is ideal. Not because they're going to sign you up for IVF right off the bat, but they're going to ask you certain questions. What is your timeline? How much money do you have to spend? What lengths are you willing to go through to get a baby or get pregnant? They'll ask you all those things to help determine the best treatment plan for you. And I've heard of many instances where people used their, I don't know what the right word, I'll say nest egg for fertility treatments, or their bundle of money for fertility treatments on multiple cycles of IUI that failed. And then they say, I should have just gone straight to IVF because I ended up spending just as much. So, going in with a plan and talking to somebody who can walk you through that. And the best people to do that are fertility centers, because that's what they do every day. Mm-hmm. They can tell you, let's, based on what we know medically, based on what we know about you financially, based on what we know about you with your, what your timeline is, this is what we recommend. Get another opinion too. You don't just have to take the opinion of that one person. You have to do your due diligence to get another opinion, and then make a decision that's best for you and your partner, or you, if it's just you alone. There's so many things that can be done on the front end to help with the planning that people don't realize. And I think that all starts with talking to someone who specializes in fertility.
Absolutely. Okay, I like that. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Because like you said, there is a lot of things out there. So how do you even know if you're not even versed in the topic?
There's so many options. And I think when someone thinks about infertility, they think about IVF. And yes, IVF is way expensive. But there's so many things in between. And the only way to know what's right for you is going to the people that do it every day. I'm not discounting general OBGYNs in no way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. There are some things they can do, but you got to have a plan. And I always recommend before you even start doing treatments with a general OBGYN, just do a consult with a reproductive endocrinology and infertility specialist to see what they have to say. Because that's what they do every day. You still may decide that what your general OBGYN recommended is best, but you at least got that second opinion. And then you can know if it doesn't work with my general OBGYN, then I can go on to this fertility specialist. So, just do your due diligence to research and and get as much information as possible at the very beginning of this journey.
Awesome. So now, Nicole, she's pregnant. That's my fiance. Beautiful fiance. She's pregnant. What advice do you give to expecting mothers basically on their day-to-day, for their day-to-day health, right? Things that they can do to make sure that they stay healthy and baby stays healthy.
This is probably his way for you to tell me to make sure I'm hydrated, because I try really hard. It's just like sometimes I just forget, and then I'm always peeing, and so I feel like I'm hydrated, but my lips are dry. So,
listen, I think the best thing you could do to any expectant person is not pressure them too much. There's already so much they have to worry about, and we spend so much time telling them what they're doing wrong or what they could do better. And we don't spend enough time telling them what they're doing well or doing good. Mm-hmm. You go on social media and you read one post that says, oh my God, I should be doing this. And then the next post says, I should be doing this. And you're making a list of all the things you should be doing. And the next thing you know, you're so swallowed up in all the stuff I'm not doing that this post says I'm supposed to be doing. I don't even know where to go. Mm-hmm. My advice is this. It starts with picking your OBGYN, the person that's going to take care of you in your pregnancy. You have to research that person and vet that person just like you would anything else. Sometimes I feel like we decide where we're going to take our car to get repaired more than we pick who's going to take care of our pregnancy.
That's true. I mean, I didn't really do crazy.
We want to go get that best estimate. We'll take it to 5 dealerships before we decide, right? But we'll pick that one OBGYN, and that's the person that's going to take care of you. You can, if there's a way to plan, you can go interview OBGYNs while you're trying to conceive. When you're first, and people do that, believe it or not, they do. You don't hear about it much, but they do. You can, once you're pregnant, you have a little bit of time to decide on who you want to see. Talk to your friends. Who do they like? Because who your friend might rave about, you might go see and think that I don't know what the hell she was thinking about this doc, because I do not. And that's okay. Yeah. But do it earlier on, because that is the person who is you should be trusting with your pregnancy. That should be the person that you should be primarily getting all of your information, recommendations, advice, expertise from. Mm-hmm. If you have an OBGYN and you still go to social media, mom groups, all these other places to get your information, then either there's something wrong with your physician-patient relationship, or your doctor's not doing enough, or it's just never going to be good enough for you. You have to decide, because you can get overwhelmed to where you're thinking about all the stuff you're not doing that you forget about what you should be doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Definitely.
It starts with picking your OBGYN. That should be the sounding board for first and foremost for everything. The other stuff that you do can be an ancillary. It can be an adjunct to other things. It can be a way to share things in mom groups and your experiences, and get some advice. But that should be where you're getting your medical information about your pregnancy. And I see that all too often. And I caution anybody for that. I feel that social media should be an area for support, not necessarily getting what you should be doing about your pregnancy. We have to be very careful with that. If you don't feel like your OBGYN is that person for you, then maybe you need to find a different doctor. But there are things that we can do to vet those people.
Yeah, it's really good advice.
Yeah, thank you for that.
I did not know that. I mean, I guess you could. I knew that you probably could, but...
Okay, wait a minute. Have you ever heard of a friend going and interviewing a pediatrician?
No.
People do that all the time. They'll go when they're pregnant and they'll interview pediatricians. But nobody wants to interview their OBGYN ahead of time?
Okay, so
we can do that. Yeah.
In this, where we live, I think we have, Victor, a couple options. So even for pediatrician, I feel like we might have 2 options. So it's one or the other, unless you're driving hours and hours.
Of course. It's going to be limited. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. It's going to be limited by where your location is, obviously. but you can still get to know that person and pick between the two that you like.
Definitely.
There's still things you can do.
Yeah, I definitely asked my friends who they liked for the OBGYN, and I just trusted it, and I was like, okay, this is cool. Now I'm recommending him to my friends, as if there's a lot of options, but there are options, and I definitely think different people fit better with others, but now that you say that, for a pediatrician, I definitely want to love our pediatrician because I'm the one that will be calling them all the time, freaking out. So I will interview them, Vic. We'll go see them.
I'll give you an example. I'm in medicine, so of course, what do? I talk to all my doctor friends. Yeah. Who do you recommend for a pediatrician? Everybody said this one doc. All right. I got an appointment with her. And it happened to be that the first appointment, something happened, she wasn't there, and I got quote unquote stuck with, because that was my mentality. Oh, great, I got stuck with this doc. And he was amazing. And he is my pediatrician now. And I would not change it for the world. He's the one that I trust. And it just was by happenstance that we had that first visit with him. So, things work out, and there are resources, and people are much more willing to interview their pediatrician while they're pregnant to determine who they're going to see than they are their OBGYN. And we have the right to do that.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
That's awesome. And real quick, the company that you have with your husband, that 35 or Babies After 35, what resources can people get on that? Because I went to your website. So what?
So actually, my website is getting totally redone. I just had a call right before this with my designer. We're totally revamping things.
Oh, awesome.
But basically, what Babies After 35 was originally made for is for anyone who was trying to conceive, anyone over 35, trying to conceive, pregnant, parenthood, all of that it comes after 35. But since I started, my largest demographic is actually people aged 25 through 40, or 25 through 34. So I have more people following me in that age group than I do people after age 35.
Interesting.
And I think that's because more and more people are delaying childbearing and anticipating delaying childbearing. And so they're wanting to educate themselves. So on my website, you're going to find things for those who are anticipating delaying childbearing, as well as those who are after age 35 and after age 40 who are trying to conceive, pregnant, or who have delivered. So I kind of have expanded to serve all people. But the main thing is that you're getting information from medical experts, myself, and then as well as my personal experiences. Then I also have people who want to share their own personal stories, which I think there's something to be said for that. So that's what you're going to find on my website and on my social media as well. My goal is to have accurate information for anyone that comes to my website.
And what's your social media? Where can people find you?
Yeah, so I'm primarily on Instagram at Babies After 35. That's where I'm the most engaged. And then I do a lot of videos on TikTok at TikTok Baby Doc. And that's because it's a really cool platform to actually make the videos. So, and I get videos from other docs on there that are doing it. So those are probably the two main places where you can find me.
Are you going to start a podcast? Because I think you would be a perfect candidate for one.
Well, we could talk about this later because I'm thinking about it. I do a lot of, while we're on it, I do a lot of live discussions on my Instagram TV. And I talk with other medical professionals. I've done a lot about COVID education, and I get a gazillion views on those videos. But you're right. I need to find a way to get them into a podcast, so I might pick your brain.
Absolutely. Let us know. We're available for you. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I'm sorry for what's going on in Texas right now, but sending love and prayers your way to make sure everything thaws out nicely.
Thank you so much, you guys, and thank you for your time.
You're very welcome. You have a good day. Bye-bye.
Alrighty. Bye.
We hope you enjoyed that episode and that you learned something.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
And thank you so much for listening. Next time you hear from us, we will be married.
She'll be Nicole Ann Franzel Arroyo.
Yes.
I think she's doing the hyphen thing.
Yeah. I am.
Nicole Ann Franzel Arroyo. So Franzel Arroyo.
But I'm not the third either, right? Or am I the third
no,
too?
You're not the
am
third.
I the third too?
You're not the third. You know what's funny is I was reading about people that do hyphenated names, and they were saying they get frustrated because sometimes, like maybe at a doctor's office or a prescription thing or whatever, they don't address your hyphenated name, or they get it confused sometimes, or whatever. I don't know.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Or they'll just call you Miss Arroyo.
Well, so that's totally cool. You can call me what you want. I think it's just more so keeping it because, I I'm attached to my name. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm proud of my name.
You know, and I was reading about it too, how weird it must be to your whole life be Nicole Franzel.
Yeah.
And then just completely change to Nicole Arroyo.
You just give up your whole entire last name. Like, it has so much meaning. Imagine just giving up Arroyo. Like, you're just like Victor Franzel. It's weird.
Yeah.
And so for me, I get attached to the smallest of things. I'm definitely attached to my last name, and that stems down to my dad and my dad's family. And so for me to just like give up my last name, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And I understand the people who like don't, and it's nothing against you,
yeah.
obviously.
No,
it's
I
like
get that.
I love your name, and I'm going to be proud to take on that name, but it's just
and our kids will have that name.
Yeah, for sure.
Know.
Right, and I definitely want to have the same last name as my kids as well.
Yeah.
But just like, it's just weird. Like, why does a girl have to give it up?
Traditions, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. Because I thought that too. I was like, man, it'd be so weird to just get rid of my last name. And then just for it
girls they just do it so easily, and it's just like all of a sudden it's changed, and I'm still calling them by their name from middle school, right? I'm like, oh yeah, well, that's the same person.
Yeah.
Even my bridesmaids, when I'm filling out like the
you put their maiden names.
I put their maiden names so many times, but it's like because I've known them their whole life, and I'm like, oh crap, it's Smith, it's not Walsh, you know? It's like, oh crap, it's not Franzel, it's Johnson. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I wouldn't be surprised if during our wedding their maiden name is in a brochure or pamphlet
on accident,
or the DJ says her maiden name. But I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But all right, well, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode, took something away from it. We'll be married and when we're back.
Yes.
Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. The easiest way is the little purple app on your Apple iPhone, Apple Podcasts, or you can go online. It's Apple Podcasts, and you can rate, review, subscribe there. You can listen to this anywhere you listen to podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and you can always go to www.cococalientepodcast.com, and you can also check out our merchandise there. Don't forget to follow us at Coco Caliente Pod on Twitter and at Coco Caliente Podcast on Instagram. Thank you.
If you want to be the most interesting person at the cocktail party, well, hop on over and listen to the Brain Candy Podcast.
Our award-winning content will have you laughing while you're learning.
We read all the best articles, books, and studies and keep up with new TV shows, documentaries, and pop culture. And then we cram it all into 2 shows a week.
Conspiracy theories, cannibal rabbits, unsolved mysteries, the history of the Walkman. There's something for everyone.
The Brain Candy Podcast. Find our link in the show notes.
Or simply search for the Brain Candy Podcast on your podcast app.